Good evening. Welcome to Divine Speech in African Traditionalism. I am your host, Augustine Ayinibisah Ayelah. To seek permission to speak, I rise before my father and my mother, the two individuals who taught me right from wrong. I rise before my grandfather and grandmother, whom I call my first ancestors. I rise before the deities, the land deities, the water deities, and the sky deities. I rise before the goddesses, especially the goddess Ma'at, to give me balance so that we can have this interview by informing rather than insulting people. I rise before the gods, especially the god Jehuti, the god that taught human beings how to read and write, to endow me with the power of speech so that I can engage these young men in a conversation that can inspire future leaders of Africa. Finally, I rise before the Supreme Being, Amon-Re, the amalgamated rulers of the universe, whom my tradition calls Na-Wene, to grant me strength and staying power to conduct this interview with wisdom and grace. With this prayer, I know I'm permitted to speak. Power loss is a topic that I have been waiting to present to the viewers for a long time. It is a topic that speaks volumes of the situation Africans and her descendants are in. As simple as it is, or as simple as it reads, power loss is deeper than we read it. My two guests are young and vibrant. They are searching for answers as to why Africans and descendants of Africa are in such deplorable situation. I can tell you this, they are the young men who have discovered themselves. They know something went wrong, and they're looking for answers. I want to welcome my two guests, Mr. Seth Mensah, here with me in the studio, and Mr. Neequaye Bismark Ashie, who's joining us live from Toronto, Canada. As I indicated earlier, I'm very pleased when young men like you get involved in the cultural and historical aspects of our existence. Gentlemen, welcome to Divine Speech in African Traditionalism.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Glad to be here.
Mr. Ashie, let me start with you first.
Okay.
When you hear from some intellectuals that Africa did not contribute to civilization, what is your reaction?
Before I answer that question, let me thank you first for inviting me onto your show. It is an honor, a privilege, and I'm very humbled to be here. So thank you.
You are very welcome.
To answer your question, if I was to hear someone tell me this, my initial reaction would be that, the person whom is telling me this is either uneducated of their past African history, or this person has been misled and fed information that is falsified, which will lead them to believe such a statement. Now, if you were to go back to the days before slavery, if I'm not mistaken, the European was looking for a variety of things before discovering Africa. What they were looking for was basically food, medicine, comfort, and knowledge. And I think it's safe to say that they found all of that and more. Right now, as it is, if you look at the top 10 countries that are providing the world with cocoa beans for the manufacturing of chocolate,
Right.
5 of those countries are African countries, in no particular order, but there's Ivory Coast, Ghana, Nigeria, Cameroon, and Togo. If we talk about coffee, which a lot of folks like in the Western world, myself, I'm a hot chocolate type of guy, so I don't know much about coffee, but
Right.
coffee itself was originally found from Egypt, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, a lot of people don't know the origin of where coffee comes from. The continent is blessed with gold, oil, timber, diamonds, copper, and a lot of other minerals, which often gets exported into the Western world also. Furthermore, there's also what is it called? Herbal medicine
Okay.
in Ghana. From the Ghana tribe that I'm from, we call it Shikponchofa, which
Okay.
which basically means medicine from the roots. It's a root medicine or medicine from the soils, from the ground. The Western world is now using herbal medicine more often as opposed to the traditional medicine that you get from pharmaceuticals and such. Um, in present days, there's still research going on in Africa to find cures for such illnesses and diseases as AIDS, HIV, and tuberculosis and cancer and such. So if someone was to tell me that Africa has not contributed anything to today's society, I'll tell them that, plain and simple, the proof is in your face. You see it every day, but you just neglect to see it.
Mr. Mensah.
Yeah, to add to what Neequaye has said, it's very plausible to go the way he went. But I have had a different approach to this whole thing. I believe Africans have been, to say it in the proper way, African brain had been hijacked right at the time the two races got encountered. I'm talking in terms of hijack because that would make it more vivid for people to be able to visualize. We really don't have our own choices. We cannot make choices. Just like if you are sitting in an airplane and a hijacker come in and hijack the plane, he might not physically be piloting the plane,
Right.
but he will command the plane to go the direction where they want it to go. So that's the situation we found ourselves in. So on that note, I would say we have to relieve of ourselves of responsibilities because we don't actually have choices. The choice we make today are actually essential outcome of the deterministic world that we live in. Everything has been determined. Why I'm saying that is we go to school and we have to study and learn in a different language than our language. That is a tool of control.
Right.
They control you of how to think, how to speak, and how to live. That's a very big control, and it's a sad situation. So when I see a hijacked brain or people whose brain have been hijacked, it's a sad situation. When they say Africa have not contributed anything, they're not speaking for themselves, they're speaking for the hijacker who have actually hijacked their brains. So that is one aspect to look at it. And the other aspect to look at it is now we can read and write. So we have to redeem ourselves. We have to come to a realization that the day has come where we have to write our own history. We don't want to let another person write the history for us. If we don't do that, then we all destined to doom because we have to stop. We have to start thinking the way somebody else wants us to think, the hijacker, and we have to live the way they want us to live, and basically we'll be speaking in their tongue. So you cannot say black people have not contributed to civilization. Actually, it's more than that. We started civilization, and everything else that you see is add on. It's just like you telling me because Isaac Newton don't have any knowledge in the computers, did not contribute to sciences.
You cannot.
Because right now, the world wants us to believe civilization started from Greco-Roman civilization, which is not actually true. It's way more than that. Human civilization is driven by evolution.
Okay.
So we cannot live where we started. And this is being done in a way to erase the important civilization that was along the Nile about 3,000 years ago. But you cannot do that. It's not possible because the science out there, like Neequaye said, you have to see it. It's staring in your face. They will do everything, but it's not going to be successful because if you look at a great scientist called Pythagoras, he said he had a theory. This is a theory that was used along the Nile in land distribution.
Mm-hmm.
So today when we're talking about urban planning, urban, whatever you want to call it, we had it then. And it's not a wrong thing to use it, but you have to give credit where credit is due. This thing didn't start in a Greco-Roman civilization, what we have here in America and in Europe. It started from Africa. You cannot deny that fact.
But Mr. Mensah, if you have no knowledge of history, this narration that you just given, if you had no knowledge of history, somebody came and told you that Africa did not contribute to civilization, wouldn't you take it as valid?
Well, how wouldn't I have knowledge of history if I'm literate? There's no way you open a book and read and you wouldn't think of who was the first teacher that taught you. That's in itself history.
Right.
So you always have to know history to guide you. If you don't know where you're coming from, you don't know you can't know where you're going. And probably that's what the situation most of these so-called intellectuals are finding themselves in.
No, but okay, I'll tell you. So, Neequaye, I'm
Yes.
just going to give a short story about when I went back to Ghana in
Okay.
2010. A European was in Bolga and was talking to one of these my cousins, who is actually a nurse in Bolga Hospital, about the killing of the Dagbon, the Yana, right?
Okay.
And he was kind of insulting my cousin by saying, what kind of people are you, go kill your king? My cousin didn't know what to respond to him because, first of all, he doesn't know that Europeans to kill their kings. This guy didn't even know that Kennedy was assassinated. And that was yesterday. So when I say that, if you don't know anything about history, when they tell you something, it's valid. Are you getting me, Neequaye?
Yes, I understand completely, and you're absolutely right. I mean, if someone was to tell me something and I knew nothing about that topic, I think the smart thing for me to do is keep my mouth shut, accept it, and assume that it's true. Unless what it is that they're telling me, I sense contradiction in what they're telling me, and then I'll understand that something is off, and then maybe I'll go do my own research. But if I meet you down the street and we're having a conversation, you told me that this is what happened or this is what the situation is, by default, not that I'm naive to believe you, but by default, it's accepted as almost the truth until someone else tells me otherwise, or I do my own research to find out that what you told me was a lie. But like you said, by default, if I don't know, I can't say anything. So I would assume that is the truth.